All right, well, good morning. Today is part two of our four-part series of Monarch Title Agent ONE, the best net sheet app ever. And so last week we covered mainly buyers type of calculators. So today I wanted to focus on the sellers calculators. We are using my phone at the moment because this is where you're going to use the app the most. You can use this on a desktop and I can show you what that looks like. The buttons are in different places and there's not as many features as you would have available on your phone. So that's why we are using the phone. But this is just what my phone looks like when it's opened up. You'll see at the very bottom, the calculator button is highlighted in blue. So that is the tab that I'm on. If we wanted to do a seller net sheet, we would just click on the button that says seller. And in this field, you're going to go ahead and be able to add an address. So if anyone has an address that they'd like to do a seller net sheet on, or I can also just pick one of these addresses here for the sake of argument.
22939,
22939.
Anasco Circle, Penasco. Yep.
Okay, and Nuevo.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, so by putting in the property address first, it's going to pull in the annual property taxes. So that's why you want to start there. Then I'm going to go ahead and hit next. Then we would decide what kind of a sales price we'd like to work with. So what would you want to sell this house for, Jeff?
It's listed tomorrow at 525.
Okay, 525. And then if you have any idea what type of loan type they have,
It's FHA.
okay, so I'm just going to drop that little arrow down next to loan type.
Oh, I'm sorry, Marion. That's the buyer. I've already got an offer on it. It's paid off, so
Okay,
there's no loan.
well, that's perfect. We'll just leave it as all cash since it's paid off. And then we have a seller broker and a buyer broker fee at 3%. Does that sound right?
Yes, because I'm double ending it, so it's nice.
Nice. Are there any repairs that need to be made?
Yeah, there's probably going to be about $5,000 in paint.
Perfect. All right, so miscellaneous, this little wheel next to miscellaneous gives us the option to open this up and we can add to seller's closing costs or subtract depending on what's going on with the property. Is there anything that you know of that's special that we should add or subtract?
Um, $500 in termite repair. Does
Okay,
that does that work?
so okay, we're just gonna name it termite and put $500 in and go back. All right, so we know that the seller loan balance is 0 and the interest rate doesn't really apply because of that. And it's going to just default for escrow. We're going to go ahead and look at the closing date. So that's a month out, which is perfect. And with that, we can go ahead and hit compute. So this next screen is going to give us an idea of what the sellers will net at closing. And we have the ability to edit closing costs in this screen. So where it says detailed closing costs, we can go right into here. And that little edit button in the top right-hand corner, if we hit edit, we can now go in and change things. So if you know that there's going to be more on the buyer broker, less, the repairs, more or less. If you wanted to change any of the sub escrow fee or doc prep, we could take all of that out. We could even add lender fees. But if we're good with the closing costs, then we can go ahead and stay where we're at. I'm going to hit the back button. So at the very top hand left, you're going to see an option for multiple offers. So let's say that the seller gets an offer from 3 different people, and we wanted to see which one was going to be the best case scenario. This gives you the opportunity to go ahead and even put in the buyer agent name, how they would be paying if it was going to be cash or financing. You could talk about earnest money deposit if they have asked for the home warranty to be paid for. So all of this, we could just literally go in, let's say Smith. Earnest money, we're going to say they're going to put down 10%. They wanted a home warranty for the price of $1,000. And then they want the buyer broker fee paid for. They have an escalation clause or not. And if there's any contingency or notes. So then you can click on add offer. And now you can add a new offer. So let's say the second offer is going to be for 575, but their down payment is only going to be, we're going to go FHA 3.5. I'm going to just put in another name. What would be an earnest money deposit on 3.5% down for 575? 1%?
Yeah, yeah, it's insane.
Okay. Home warranty, let's just say they're going to waive the warranty on this one. And they're asking for the broker fee of 2.5. So now I can go ahead and click add offer. So this is just going to give me a look at the net at close. So the first offer is going to net the seller 484. The second offer is going to net them 534. So now you can go on and add more offers. So it's a great opportunity for you to let your seller see comparisons on what they're going to bring home. That little button in the top right-hand corner will create you a report. So you can go ahead and hit send full report. So here's just two offers, but if you added another one, you would see it right there side by side. So you could print this out and give it to your client.
But it does kind of give a detailed breakdown, like
Yes.
a regular seller's net sheet does. Okay, cool.
Sorry, let me zoom in on that for you real quick. So that's what it looks like.
So Marianne, that's printable.
Yes.
That's a PDF. Fantastic.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Those little tabs at the top, they're kind of hard to see, but they're great. So getting back to the net sheet, to the right of the net sheet, we have a field called holding costs. So holding costs, as you guys know, is going to be that the longer that they wait to sell, the more it can cost them. Edit expenses at the bottom. So I can go in there and I can change any information that I want, put the number of days or months out. So it's showing you 30, 60, 90, and 120 days if they were to wait to sell between taxes, insurance, how
Oh,
much more it would cost them to wait. One thing I wish that it had on here is also the longer you wait, the more competition you might have, right? Because that can also affect.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go back to the net sheet. If we were happy with the net sheet, that little top right-hand button in the corner with the arrow, we're going to hit that one again. Now you have an option for send full report. Texting a snapshot is very minimal information. And then you can save this estimate as well. So you can come back to it later. And then you can go ahead and hit send full report. So
Gotcha.
here's a net sheet that just came up. It's going to show what they're going to net, the property address, of course, the net sheet information with closing costs. And then if you set up your profile, everything will be branded to you. So you can go ahead and print this out, or you can send it as well by text message or email. So that little button in the top right-hand corner, again, we press that when we're ready to send it. And here are all of our options on how we can send that seller net sheet. Now, if you want to look at options for other more appealing looking net sheets, you can hit that template button in the left-hand corner. And now you're going to have lots of other options to choose from. So they all basically are giving you the same information, but they just look a little different. So you can find the one that you like the most and then go ahead and use it. And then there's a customize button also in the right-hand corner. So if you ever needed to edit anything in here, there's color options. You can even change the language on the net sheet. You can edit your profile. It is all in that little area.
Can you tell me again where that is? I didn't see the custom and I didn't see the last thing you just did.
Okay, so at the very bottom of the screen, there's a button that says templates on the left.
Mhm.
Can you guys see that?
No.
Yes.
See
Oh,
it?
I see it on yours. Okay, hold on.
Did you go to send your full report?
Okay, so you go to send full report and
Hmm.
then it gives you
Yes.
templates. Okay, I see that. Okay.
Okay,
Can you
perfect.
back up 1 second? I have a question specifically, a silly question, but about transfer tax. I noticed that that loads under detailed closing costs. Is that pretty accurate? Like, does that pull like specific to that property what the transfer tax is going to be?
Yes, so it's going to pull the percentage.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
no problem. All right, are there any other questions on the seller net sheet? Let's switch gears and let's move over to the calculator tab in the bottom middle on your phone. So I think we should talk about sell to net really quick. Do you ever have a client that says to you, I'll sell my house if I can net blank?
Right.
So sell to net is about midway down that page. If you guys didn't see it, let me go back to the top so you don't lose you. See where it says
Hmm.
more? It's the second one down. So in sell to net, this is really simple. If their net goal is to clear, let's say 500,000,
Hmm.
we can go ahead and put in an address again. And in Jeff's situation, what were you listing it for?
At 25.
525?
Yeah.
Okay. So if they wanted to net 500, they owed nothing. They had closing costs, and we were closing in a month from now. You had repairs for 5,000. You had miscellaneous for termite. So I'm going to put that back in and hit back to go back to the calculator. All right, seller loan balance was 0. We're going to go ahead and hit compute. If they wanted to clear 500, you would have to list it at 541. Now, sometimes this obviously is not going to be realistic because you know the market better than they do. But if they wanted to have that conversation about what it would look like, this is what we would have to do. And maybe there's different things that they need to offer or things they need to do to their home to get it in that condition. But it is just a way for you to have this conversation in a minute with your phone. Again, you can push that button in the top right-hand corner and it will populate a flyer. There is send full report. And here is that net sheet. So they would end up netting $500,120. And again, maybe they could look at closing costs and talk about what they could do differently there. Um, but yeah, that is a really simple calculator. If somebody ever,
That's really cool.
any questions on the sell to net?
No, it's basically backwards planning. You have
Yep.
your objective and just go backwards how to get to that. That's very cool.
Yep. All right. So let's go back to the calculator tab one more time. So the other one I wanted to talk about is your equity review. This one is in the top left-hand
Mm.
corner of the calculator tab. And this one is really great if you're looking to reach out to people who might be in a position of equity, could be a next seller, and you could let them know what kind of equity they have. So Tom Ferry really has jumped on the bandwagon with this particular calculator. If you haven't noticed, he really markets Palm Agent in general, which is our parent company of the app. But Equity Review, he even featured a video for someone who placed a social media video where she pulled an equity report for one of her clients and did it on her phone through video so that she could post it and share it that way, and then asked if anybody was interested to DM their address and that she would do a report for them too. So it resulted in a couple of listings for her, which is great. So if you wanted to do something similar, all you would do is type in an address. Someone want to give me an address?
30151 Via Amante. VIAAMANTE.
All right, Menifee.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hit done. What would you say is likely the current value of that home?
We're gonna probably list it at 630.
Okay. So first, because I put the address in, it's telling me that the average interest rate in 2020 was 3.19%. So you could use that, or if you know for sure what their interest rate was, you can also type that in as well.
35.
3.5. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go ahead and hit compute. This is the estimated loan balance since they first started paying on that mortgage. And of course, this also depends on that they would have made their payments on time. We
Hmm.
wouldn't know if somebody did not do that because it would not show right here. So just know that. But this is still a great way, even if you know somebody's underwater, for you to send them an equity review report, because even if they were behind, they would still be able to do the math and know that they have equity, and it would be better to sell if they aren't in the position to stay in that home. So I'm going to go
Gotcha.
ahead and use estimated loan balance, or you could add another loan if you knew that there was a HELOC or something extra there.
Hmm.
Okay, so 630.
Correct.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put that in. What do you think they purchased that house for?
Let's say 325.
325?
Sure.
All right. And let's say that they put 10% down with the loan balance and the loan start date. I hit compute, and this lets us know that they have $280,000 in home equity, approximately. So again, if you wanted to, you could send this report in the top right-hand corner. And here is the equity report. So the
That's
reason I like,
fantastic.
yeah, the reason I like the terminology equity report, or here is your total equity or estimated equity, is because people don't always understand the math when we say what your current home value is. They hear current home value, but they know that there are closing costs and all the things add up. And so then it's overwhelming to understand really where they might land. And so thinking like a consumer, they just see, wow, after closing costs, I could net something around this. So what a great opportunity to reach out to people who are maybe seniors talking about how much equity they have, or somebody like we said a minute ago who could be in some type of distress with their property, helps them understand where they're at. Somebody that might be a move up prospect, maybe they're crammed into a two-bedroom house and they could see how much equity they have that they could roll into the next purchase. So again, another great listing tool for you guys to use is the equity review calculator.
So this is something I'm envisioning using the farm that you helped me build
Mhm.
and using this with the names and homeowners. I have their address. I can use this as a tool on my with my CRM.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Definitely.
that's brilliant. Brilliant, brilliant.
Lots of things you can do with it. Again, this NetSheet app, the more you play with it, the more you understand the calculators, the more you're gonna know how many times you can use this on the spot. Like I make this comment all the time, and I'm sorry if I overuse it, but you can literally have a conversation in line at the grocery store. You could be sitting at a picnic with the family, and on that topic, the one that I like the most, for people who like to have discussions, the other calculator is that iBuyer calculator. Do you guys still find that you're coming up against iBuyers?
Not nearly as much.
Yeah. Well, with that, the whole conversation really comes down to, why should I pay a realtor a commission? That's really kind of where I think the power is in this calculator. And instead of just selling it through Zillow or selling it, through a discount brokerage online, it's fast, it's easy. I don't have to clean my house. I don't have to prep it for open houses. I don't have to leave the house, whatever the case may be. And if there's a divorce or if there is a job relocation, sometimes they just want the path of least resistance, but they don't realize how much money that they're leaving on the table. So
Sure.
that's the reason why I like that calculator. So with this one, you would just put in a loan balance. Let's say it was the 325 and hit next. If you were selling it with a realtor, say you were going to sell it for 630, you have the buyer and seller broker fees in there and minor repairs. If you were selling with one of those discount brokers, they're going to offer you less, but it's for the convenience of not having to do anything. So
Hmm.
here's the convenience price. It is 94% of the market price. They have a service fee. They just don't call it a commission. So whatever the case may be. And then repairs, there's usually going to be some type of repairs once you get into contract. So they have the really fast closing date of 2 weeks from now, whereas you have a month from now. So when you go hit compare, if you sell with a realtor, you're going to net 260,000. If you sell online really fast, you're going to make 209,000 on that sale. So the question is 2 weeks worth $51,000 that you're leaving on the table? Again, if you wanted to, you can print this out by hitting that top right-hand corner with the arrow. And then here we go, the cost of convenience. It shows the 51,000. So maybe you don't run up against the word iBuyer, but I do know that there is still the online platforms that you have to compete with. And I do
Sure.
believe that real estate agents are worth their value so much, and people just don't understand what's being left behind. So,
Mm.
all right. So does anybody have any questions about those four calculators that we covered? Last time we covered the concession, buy down, buy now versus later, and the buyers. And today we covered the seller net sheet equity review, sell to net, and the iBuyer. So for the next week, every Wednesday, we want to meet and talk about new calculators so that we have exhausted all the calculators in this phone. So that way you can feel which ones you're comfortable with that you can use when you're out in the field. Do you guys have any interest or questions, or do you want me to just pick?
Feel free to pick, please.
All right.
Yeah, I feel the same. I'd like to go through all of them because there's only a few that I typically use.
Okay.
So yeah, having explanation of all of them would be helpful. The monthly affordability one, did you go through that one last week? I missed last week.
No, we did not. And I
Okay, that one I
totally,
use all the time. I love that one.
okay. Let me find it
Got
right,
it.
right here.
Right there.
Since you mentioned it and we have a couple minutes left, we can go through it really quick.
Okay.
That'd be
All right.
lively.
So in the calculator tab on this top portion for popular on the bottom right-hand corner, it says monthly affordability.
Hmm.
In this particular calculator, you're trying to figure out what people can afford. So if you have a client who is maybe currently renting at $3,500 a month, which is not far-fetched, unfortunately, and
Mm.
depending on what loan program they choose, you can choose here FHA, VA, anything you want. So I'm going to go ahead and just put in FHA. If you know the tax rate, you can go ahead and put that in there. If you know if there's an HOA in a specific neighborhood that they're looking at, you can also put that in there as well. And then you would go ahead and hit compute. So this is going to give an idea of what their buying power is for the desired monthly payment that they have based off of how much they're willing to put down. So if they decided instead that they wanted to put down 10%, now their buying power is up to 477. Maybe because of a tax adjusted payment, we can go ahead and say they'll pay 4,000 a month instead because they'll save on their taxes. Now their buying power is at 512,000 with 10%. Oh, actually, it went down to 3. With 10%, it would be 545,000. There is another one that's similar to this that will allow you to put in even what all your payments are monthly.
Okay.
But I don't even know if that's the one that you're thinking of.
No, but this one's fantastic. I like this a lot.
Now, again, up in the top right-hand corner, there's a little button next to the home price. It's called details. So this can break it down. And then there is that button in the top right-hand corner. Always you would send the report. And then this explains if they put down a different percentage, they would be able to have a different purchase price for how much home they can afford with a goal of a $4,000 monthly payment.
Mike, this is some of the things I was talking to you about on Monday, where you just print out that little template for social
Oh
media
yeah.
post.
Yep.
I've already gotten hits on that one, Marianne, that we did last week on if you wait 2 years
Okay,
versus
love it.
now. It's so simple, and it's like I can't understand why I don't see more of it online from other agents, because it's basically it's like having an assistant. You just hit a button and it's done.
Yeah.
It's just putting it in your time block, as Toby would say. Yeah.
And I would just say that I love that escrow will do net sheets for you. And those are great because especially once you get into contract and you get a net, you're going to get a really close net sheet from escrow because they know all the fees. And this
Yeah.
is going to be a very good estimate, but it's not going to be nearly as close to the penny as escrow can be, of course. But maybe you're within $100, but you're able to do this on a night or a weekend or a holiday or when you have 1 minute of their attention. Whereas having to get back to them, you could miss an opportunity. So this is a really
You
great
bet.
hook to get them in. Okay. There are templates on this one too. If you notice on the bottom left-hand corner, you can click on templates and there's a couple different flyers in here. So there's this one that says monthly affordability as rates go up. So this also shows what happens if rates change, what happens to what their purchasing power does.
I think this is a great tool to have these type of sheets in our open houses
I agree.
You
because
bet.
people when they come in, and I've been noticed this in some of my open houses, they have no clue what's the steps to buy a house.
Absolutely.
So this will be a great tool to, like you say, Marianne, to have in the spot and says this could be your payment
Hmm.
based on this, and this is an estimate. I always have to say estimate because I don't
Yeah.
have nothing set on stone. Everything is depends according to your credit score, down payment, and your financials.
Absolutely. And there is a disclaimer on the bottom of this flyer that this
Sure.
is
Okay,
an
perfect.
estimate.
Point
Yeah.
out,
Yes.
I re-emphasize that too in the email that this is just an estimate
You
because
bet.
Mhm.
Marianne, I still have the old version of the app. I didn't download the Monarch one.
Okay.
Can you send me a link to that, or how do I do that? I know you sent something out and I didn't do it at the moment. No, I can't find it.
Yeah. So I will send out an email. You can just go ahead and try to download it, and it'll give you a prompt that will say, do you want to switch? And you would say yes. And so it'll just
Okay,
transfer your account from the other company to this one.
thank you.
All right. So if you guys have no other questions,
No,
then
ma'am.
we are done for today. I like to keep it short and sweet. Don't want to overwhelm. Does anyone have an aha that you would like to share with the group really quick? Have you used this tool before? Has it helped you in the
I
field?
have used this tool before
Okay.
with a different title rep, but I didn't know they have all these gadgets and the calculator, and this is really awesome. And thank you for taking the time and show us how we can be better in our jobs because it's very important.
No problem. That is what we're here to do is to help you guys. And if you ever get stuck on a specific idea or concept that you're trying to accomplish, just let me know because I'm more than happy to help. And I can also do a one-to-one if anyone didn't get the entire tutorial on this app. And I will also be sending out the recording as well. But just since we're here, I want to pull up the NetSheet app online. So this is the Monarch Title Agent.com if you wanted to use this on your desktop, or you can even use it on a tablet. And like I mentioned earlier, you'll probably mostly ever use this on your phone. But if you ever wanted to be in front of a client and you want to have a bigger screen like on your computer, this would be another great way. It's the same login information that you're using on your phone, but your buttons are at the top instead of at the bottom. All right. That's it, guys.
thanks, Marion.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Thank you for
Thank
joining.
you.
Let me know if I can help. Have a good day.